It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Elmira Soaring Eagles head field hockey coach, Coach Jessica Galatioto. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for
Can,
having me.
thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college field hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't know for a while. Probably in my junior year of college, I was studying PE and health ed, so I knew I wanted to probably, be a teacher and coach at the high school level. But at some point, I just kind of decided like I really like this. Like, why not try and stay in it? So, um, yeah, it just kind of, I don't, there wasn't any magical moment or anything.
What was that experience like for you going to college and playing collegiate field hockey at Castle State?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot of fun. I didn't anticipate playing field hockey at the college level. In high school, I was really focused on softball, actually. So, my senior year, my high school coach was like, I really think that you could maybe play in college. So we like threw a CD together real quick of like some game film and whatever, and I just sent it out to schools that I was already talking to for softball. And I mean, the pieces kind of just came together. So I think my first year playing, I was kind of just settling in and really learning the game a lot more too. Like there's a lot of pieces of field hockey that I didn't learn in high school. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Definitely a decision I don't regret, obviously. So
What was that feeling like getting to put on that uniform for them, and what were some of your biggest accomplishments?
yeah, I guess it was just nerve-wracking. I guess I was nervous, definitely, especially when I finally got a chance to go on the field. Being a goalie, you only get so many chances to kind of prove yourself. So I was definitely nervous, like my first time actually playing and stuff. But I just wanted to perform well, I guess, for the team. And then my accomplishments, I guess, I mean, for me personally, I I really learned a lot about the sport and about goalkeeping specifically. And I I probably worked harder in college than I ever did like in any other sport in high school. So I guess those are kind of personal things that you don't really see like on paper. But really the big things while there, we won our conference, the NAC, it was the NAC back then, twice in a row, which was cool. I was in goal for all those games. And I had some really low save percentages, especially in conference, my junior year. So um, it was kind of like seeing all the pieces like come together a little bit that junior season. So
Coming out of college, what was that experience like getting into college coaching and becoming a grad assistant at Bethel College?
yeah, at Bethany. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. I really just when I was in college, I just applied to anything, like anything assistant coach or grad or grad assistant, whatever. I just wanted to find something and get my foot in the door. And Bethany, the first year, it was a lot. We were really trying to find a lot of recruits. It was a struggling program, and it actually ended up getting cut my second year in grad school. So I was kind of there, like still there finishing my master's, but learning everything else that happens in an athletics department besides like the sports. So it was definitely unique experience, I think, to say the least, when I was there. Um, yeah, so.
For you, what was that experience like going from being a grad assistant to jumping to become a head coach at St. John's Fisher?
I was an assistant at St. John Fisher. Um, so I guess that experience for me, I just wanted to keep learning, and St. John Fisher was a very strong program, very successful. They were competing in postseason play and stuff like that. So kind of seeing, I had seen a program that was really struggling and flopped, and then going to Fisher, I was really seeing the complete opposite, like a program that's really thriving, a school that a lot of students want to go to. Just like things of that nature. So yeah, it was good. And I met a lot of people in the Rochester, New York area, and was able to get involved in a lot of things that I didn't expect outside of Fisher, like coaching club and coaching for, back then it was USA Futures, which is now Nexus. And just different things like that in the area. I coached modified at a local middle school, so I really got to experience a lot more being in that kind of area where Bethany was sort of a little bit like middle of nowhere kind of place. So I couldn't get involved in anything else. So yeah, it was a good experience being there and being in Rochester.
What was that experience like for you getting to coach the junior national team for the US?
Um, I I didn't do that.
The Nexus.
Oh, for futures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good, I guess. It was interesting to kind of learn more about USA field hockey and kind of how their programming works, and seeing different styles of coaching too, because you're coaching with a lot of other coaches that are in the area, whether they're college coaches or club coaches or what have you. So, and the players who go to that they're usually pretty highly skilled players. So it's fun to work with not only those kinds of players, but players who are also looking to like find their next thing. And for our area, it was really, they're looking into like what colleges they could go to. But it's interesting to see kind of the feeder process, because that program eventually leads to our national team. So it was definitely a unique experience. I tried at that time, I tried to say yes to anything I can handle, because that's how you're going to learn and grow. So it was definitely a good experience. I'm trying to get back into it now that I'm in a different area for it. So
What was that feeling like becoming a head coach for the first time and going to Wells College to being the head field hockey coach?
yeah, I was definitely ready for it. Like to take that next step and be a head coach. Wells was a really struggling program when I got there. We didn't really even have enough players to field the team. So it was really just kind of overwhelming in terms of trying to find the right recruits, and trying to get people to come to Wells who might not have even heard of Wells before. It's a very small school. They have about anywhere is between 300 and 500 students. So it's not like super well known like a St. John Fisher, for example. Um, but yeah, it was good. I had some great players when I was there, and it just I never had a sense of like a feeling like I made it for a while, just because we were really struggling those first, especially that first season. And then the next year was COVID. So after COVID, it was like doing it all over again, sort of thing. So
How was that experience like getting that experience at Wells, being a head coach to then help you to come to Elmira to take over that program?
yeah, it definitely helped me. I mean, Elmira, right now we're in sort of a similar situation, not as poor as Wells was back, 5 years ago, but um it's definitely, we're definitely in a rebuild here at Elmira. We have low numbers on our roster as well, but we definitely have some really talented players who are learning the game fast too. So I think it helped me to kind of meet my team in the middle a little bit and know that, to be totally frank, I mean, some of my expectations, I have high expectations, and some of them, especially at Wells the first year, I really had to lower, because it just wasn't going to work when you have 11 players, nobody's a sub. Like, you can kind of do whatever you want and be on the field. So that kind of helped me, I think, to not be okay with losing, but knowing that losing, you have to lose to get that growth, and slowly turn it into wins, and just understanding that flipping a program around won't happen overnight. It's really going to be a long process of 2 to 3 years. So yeah.
When coming to Elmira, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto that field hockey field for the first time as a head coach?
At Elmira, I guess it was, it almost didn't feel like it was happening a little bit. I mean, I started at Elmira like about maybe like a week and a half before preseason started. So I barely knew anything about Elmira. Like, I still had to like punch the field into the GPS, like that kind of thing. So, um, and for me at that point, when they asked me to come here, it was really like, we're not sure what the season's going to look like, because they had a lot of players leave the team the previous year, for a lot of different reasons. And obviously, a coach leaving kind of early summer, it can always be a little nerve-wracking for everybody. So for me, it was really just, okay, like what do we have? And what do the players know? Because we had a few players out there who hadn't played in high school. So it was really kind of, that first game was kind of a stepping block to know, like, okay, what can we do next? Because it was messy. I mean, we didn't have enough to scrimmage, so you can only teach so much. And then on top of that, we play on a grass field here at Elmira, which we're actually building a turf this spring, which is really great, especially for field hockey, because it's definitely a better surface for field hockey. But our first game was on turf. So it's like, okay, everybody, like, I know you barely know, we're still learning the game a little bit. And now here is this really fast surface that you've never been on before. So it was really just a learning experience. Like, I wasn't expecting anything big or magical to happen that day. But it helped us build into a lot of the progress we made through season, and being able to collect a couple wins. So yeah.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for Elmira's field hockey program?
Yeah, I mean, I think our culture here is really good right now. The team seems to really get along. I mean, we're pretty drama free, like in season, which is not said often, especially for female teams, I think. So I mean, I guess I just sort of, I try to get to know my players the best I can, and just like, I think it's important to understand where people are at, and not just in sport, but I think in life, like whether you're, you know, at work or with family, like, I think building relationships is important. And for me, being a head coach, I can't ask people to just have my respect when, like, they don't even know me yet, like, it has to be earned. So I think that maybe has played a role into it. I've had a lot of success with my with culture on my team at multiple schools now and different programs. And I just think, there's a time and place for everything. Like there should be a time and place to, have fun and goof off. And then there's a time and place where, okay, we need to get serious and like we've got this game on Wednesday and like let's work on these things. But yeah, I mean, I don't I don't think there's a magical answer to like team culture. It's something you have to always work at. Like you can never, and every season there's new people who come in and people who are gone. So it's you're not starting from scratch, but you certainly can't ignore it, I guess, to make it happen. So
As a head coach at Elmira, what have been some of the biggest things that you've been able to accomplish?
I guess for us, really a big thing was to get through the season this year and for the team to enjoy it because I knew that we weren't about to like go win the Empire 8, which is the conference we're in. Like that probably wasn't going to happen. Um, so finding different ways for success and for the team to really enjoy their time on the field, like those were kind of the wins that I was looking for. And on top of that, I mean, we were able to beat a couple teams this season, which I think was a lot for the makeup of our team and them being able to see like all their hard work pay off in the end. Um, and I mean, we had one game mid-October towards the end of season where we won by kind of more goals than I don't think my girls expected to do that well. So those are the kinds of things that I think were accomplishments for us. And then there's a lot of personal accomplishments too. I mean, we had a senior goalkeeper who played a great season to end it off. And her fellow captain, like she had a great, amazing season in field too. And, little things like that, like personal accomplishments, I think were a lot of the wins for us this year. And certainly us building a turf is like that's extremely exciting for us, and I think we'll be able to grow a lot from that. So
In your conference, the Empire 8, who are some of the teams that you face each week?
yeah, so in the Empire 8, it's a pretty strong conference. We play a lot of schools up and around like the Rochester and Buffalo area. So it's like Houghton, St. John Fisher, Cuca, Nazareth, SUNY Brockport, and SUNY Geneseo just added in. We also play Sage, who's out in Albany and Utica. Um, and there's certainly others. I mean, there's 10 teams in the conference, so it's always easy to like rattle them all off.
What is that atmosphere like going away to play teams like SUNY Brockport versus playing St. Fisher at home?
Yeah, I guess any away game, I think, especially for us right now, like we truly are an underdog in the conference. So I think for my team, sometimes it could be a little intimidating, especially playing on some of these. I mean, some of these schools like SUNY Brockport and St. John Fisher, like they have some really nice stadiums that they're playing in. And then at home, at least this year, we were playing on a grass field that's not even on campus. So seeing how many fans come to those games at other schools can be, it's like we want to fill those stands too, kind of thing. And then, but being home is great. We do get a lot of fans who drive out, especially if they have the time to on like a Saturday, you know, early afternoon game. And we have a lot of parent support, which is great. But I think for us, I think our home games will get a lot more exciting, being that, our field to be back on campus and also being a turf field. Like it's good to be in a spot where there's a lot of traffic, I think. So I think we'll get some more support just by people wandering around campus or kind of needing something to do like after classes and, you hear the music going on and you can like pop over there where getting in the car is a little bit tougher for a previous home field. So, um, yeah, we're excited for the change.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college field hockey?
I think every coach kind of goes about this different, from what I've learned. I mean, for me, I think if you truly want, like, if you're in high school and you truly are like, I really want to play at the college level, I think getting involved in a club is important and going to the showcases. I mean, there's showcases all year round. There's tournaments and leagues that go, more local all the time. And I mean, next week I'm going to Florida to watch teams from all over the country. Um, and I think some high schoolers, if they're not exposed to that, they don't really know it's there and don't realize that like you're not going to be seen magically just playing your high school games a lot of times. Like you really have to get yourself out there. But I do try to find those high school students who, don't really aren't able to play at the club level. Maybe the closest club team is kind of far away. Like I know when I was in high school, I did not play club for field hockey, and the closest team was like over an hour away. So that just wasn't gonna happen for me. So I think for me, I try to keep my, for Elmira, the recruiting process flexible. I mean, there's some students who want to have their college picked by the end of junior year. And there's some students who I'm talking to right now who, are just starting to apply to schools and haven't narrowed down and are scheduling to visit. So for me, I would prefer if they were able to tell me like if they were going to commit to Elmira in like probably early fall, that would like ease my mind a little bit. But I understand some people are just on a different timeline, and but for any high schooler, I think it's important to reach out to college coaches and it's best if you initiate it because it shows that coach that you're interested and do the research on your own basically. And there's nothing that drives a college coach more nuts than like talking to a recruit and like you set up that phone call and they like don't even know where the school is and it's like okay, like you didn't even look us up, like I want to see if you are interested in us and answer your questions and then watch you play kind of thing. Sometimes it's the other way around. But so I think I don't think personally that there's a scripted like recruiting process, but I know for some schools there definitely is. And if you're reaching out to them now as a senior, they're going to be turning you down like you're way too late. So
For those prospective student athletes, what does that official visit look like at Elmira for the field hockey program?
yeah, so official visit, usually I try to tell my recruits to try to come on like a weekday. Typically they'll come to campus and I try to have them do like anything that they would do if they weren't a student athlete. So do the campus tour, like do the tour through admissions, meet with admissions if possible, all that kind of stuff that anybody else does, basically. And then it's like, okay, now it's field hockey time kind of thing. So I'll usually hook them up with somebody on the team. I'll try to do it with like someone who's in the same um program that they're interested in, so like business major with business major, like that type of thing, if I'm able to. um they'll sit in on a class if they come in on a good day if possible with that student, and then They'll meet with me and the parents will meet with me as well and just talk a little bit more in detail about just us and just telling them about our program because everybody's so different, I think. And I think for some families it's overwhelming. So just like kind of just sitting them down, answering their questions and tell them about us and learn more about them, really, because I mean, they're looking at us, but we're looking at them too, and kind of deciding, do I think this person would fit in well with my current team? Because those people are going to be there, like they're not going away. And if you're a recruit coming in for a visit and like you don't get along with anybody on my team, then you probably don't want to come here. So yeah, it'll be that, and then meals with the whole team, like a dinner or something, and then staying the night with somebody, and usually wrapping up the next day. So, um, pretty standard, I think. But I think the recruits who come do that, they get a lot out of it, and they really are able to get a true sense of what being at Elmira is like. And if it's in season, they'll be able to watch practice too, which I think is important and see what kind of coach I am. Cause I mean, I get the question all the time, like recruits will ask me, what's your coaching style or what kind of a coach are you? And I'm just like, for me, it's like, I think my players could answer that better than I can. Like their perspective is probably different than what my perspective is on like how do I coach them or who am I or whatever. So I think if they're able to talk to someone on the team or even better, like just watch a practice and see how I run things, I think that's the best visit for sure. So
As a head coach, what is it like seeing your freshmen put on that Elmira purple jersey for the first time versus your seniors putting it on for the last time?
yeah, that's a great question. I think for the first time, it can be for me. I mean, for me, it can be a little entertaining because a lot of times they're a little nervous or they like, they're kind of looking across the field at the other team and they, especially that first game, it's like you've never played at the college level and they don't realize how much faster it is sometimes. Like the game is completely different at the college level compared to high school, I think. So kind of watching them like get a little nervous. I like that because it kind of shows that they care and it shows me that like they want to be successful and they want to be out there on the field and kind of prove themselves. So I think that first game is definitely it's nerve-wracking but fun, like it's kind of a mix of both, which I think is healthy. And then my seniors, the last game, I mean, it could be a little like depending on your seniors, it can get emotional at times. And especially if if it happens to be a home game, like I think they try to get through the game as normal as they can, but it's in the back of everybody's mind that like this is it. And I think sometimes, I mean, I've seen some players play their best game of their career that last game just because they like want to leave it all out there, which is great. But then sometimes it's like, or was that last week? you know? But no, it's good and it's definitely rewarding to see that. And especially, typically the underclassmen kind of rally around and kind of are excited for those seniors, even though they're done. Like they're definitely sad to see them go, but excited for all that they accomplished, like leading up to that moment. So it's always kind of a crazy day whenever that last, or even just if it's just senior game or if it's the last game of season, like it can be a lot. Like I'm always exhausted more than like that's the most tiring game for me.
As the
So
head coach, what is it like seeing your freshmen get the first score or their first assist versus your seniors getting those last points and last goals?
yeah, I think as a senior, like you don't really know when your last one is, I mean, even if it's towards the end of your last game, there's always like slight hope for them. I think that they're going to get one more until it's truly over. So I think the last, like, none of us really are able to notice it's happening until after, like after it's all said and done. Um, but for the freshmen for their first, I think it's just really exciting. I mean, you could see how hungry they are sometimes out there, and it's like they just want to get that first one out of the way. And sometimes they're so nervous that they can't do it. Like it maybe takes them longer or more opportunities than they thought because they they just get so excited that it might happen that they like kind of mess it up a little bit and it doesn't happen. So and then usually after the first, the second comes like real quick. So it's definitely fun to watch that and see, the whole team gets excited when, whether it's a field player getting their first goal or a goalie getting their first save. Like it it's like you would think we just won a game or something sometimes. So yeah, it's definitely fun for sure.
What are some of your future plans for Elmira moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we're really just in a rebuild right now. Like I said before, the getting a turf field is really exciting and is definitely going to help us get better. Elmira has had a lot of coaches the last few years. So I'm kind of excited to be more of a consistent face right now, I think, because I'm really enjoying the school and I really think there's a lot of potential within athletics and within our program specifically. So really I'm just trying to bring in the right people who like the right recruits who are going to help us build. Um, and I think doing that, we can be in a totally different position, you know, maybe two or three seasons from now. Um, but other than that, I mean, I'm just like I kind of mentioned before, trying to keep that culture, like you said, kind of keeping the culture in the spot that it's in as we get better, because that only helps you succeed on the field, I think. And then really for me, keeping our academics high. Like we have a lot of really smart students on the team right now, and we had a pretty good GPA in the fall. So um either keeping it there or I would even like us to get it a couple points up a little bit and because that's what they're here for. I mean, they're here to get a degree at the end of the day and move on to something else. I mean, it's professional field hockey isn't really out there much for us. So, um, yeah, those are kind of my plans. It's really just going to be a rebuild and it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think with the right people, we can be pretty competitive in the conference pretty quickly. So,
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college field hockey?
I think my advice would just be to keep an open mind and, just try to listen and learn from everybody around you. I think that a lot of college freshmen, they might have come from a really successful program or a place where they've had maybe one coach there for a long time and they've only heard things one way. So kind of learning different ways to do things, but also, understanding that some things that worked at the high school level might not work in the college game. Um, so I really do think though, like being open-minded is the biggest thing. And if a coach, if you've played left, I don't know, like left mid your whole life, and all of a sudden your coach thinks you're going to be a good center back, just take it. Like maybe you are and you don't know it yet. And I think sometimes you know, student athletes get disappointed when they're thrown into a different position that they haven't played before, but it could be that your coach is seeing something that no other coach saw before. And if it means being out on the field versus the bench, then I don't know. I would go for that every day. So
What advice would you give those seniors that are looking to go into coaching or playing professionally after their playing career ends?
yeah, I mean, for at least for field hockey, playing professionally is, already if you're doing it. I mean, you really have to be a high caliber Division 1 athlete. Like it's pretty much Team USA or bust for us. So, um, I wish there were more opportunities, and maybe there will be someday. But yeah, I think for any senior who is looking into, coaching college, I think the best advice would be to like you have to be willing to go anywhere. Even if you want to be a Division 1 coach, I think that you have to be willing to make some sacrifices, and maybe your first gig isn't at the D1 level. Like maybe it's being an assistant at the D2 or even the D3 level. I mean, people go from D3 to D1 all the time, especially in the field hockey world. So, um, I mean, I think for me, that was the best kind of thing I did for myself when I was in that position was, um, just applying anywhere and not being like, I need to be in, you know, Vermont. Like I have to stay in Vermont. Like that for field hockey, there's not enough schools where you can be that picky. And so if a school from West Virginia says, come on over, then you gotta just make that sacrifice maybe for a couple of years and take it. So
What advice would you give those future head coaches out there that are looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
yeah, building your own program, it's hard. I mean, I'm doing it for the second time now, not, I wouldn't say building my own program, but kind of building a program up from sort of not being in a great place, I guess. So it just, and I got this advice recently, it just takes time. Like it's not going to happen in a year. It might take like 3 or 4 years if you're lucky, So just being, I think patience for the newer programs, I guess, is the biggest thing. I don't think I'd be the one to talk about legacy or anything. I mean, I think that you have to be in the sport for a long time to create some sort of legacy, I guess. And I think too, like, trying to find the school that is best for you. Like a great school might just not be it for you. And you have to find a place where you can really like lay your roots down and really dig in and, get involved with the rest of campus and kind of, put everything that you can into it. Cause especially at the D3 level, I mean, it's not just about field hockey. Like there's a lot of extra things that come with it. So,
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Elmira Field Hockey Program at?
oh, I'm trying to think of what our handle is. We're on Instagram. I'll pull it up. Yeah, so our Instagram is Elmira FHKY. And our Facebook is just Elmira College Field Hockey. Those are really the two places that are best. So
Thank you again, Coach Jessica Galatioto, for your interview and best of luck in your future at Elmira Soaring Eagles as the head field hockey coach.
yep, thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jessica Elmira, for your interview.
Galatioto.
Galatioto, for your interview and
Galatioto.
best of luck in your future.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Brandon.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.